Besides sending the police, you might want to send an ambulance or a hearse.
Hello, Billy Ho here, coming at you. Week 13 DraftKings. First look. Not completely for me. I did a lot of research yesterday, day before. I just didn't put a video out. I was kind of fighting the stomach bug, but enough about that. I got past it. We're ready to rock and roll. We got plenty of time. I haven't really looked into injuries, so forgive me for that. But we got plenty of time to figure out value coming down the road. But I did get a look at some totals and some stacks and some. I think some good first looks. Some low pay down options at QB, pay up options at QB, how to flip the script on it, and maybe try to get in those high level players, and along with some value down low, so you can fit that salary in and not have to completely punt defense. Because as we look at it here in just a second, defense kind of those low price defenses are, boy, you might be hitting the zeros and the negative numbers on those if you're not careful. So let's get into it. All right. First off, I just wanted to start and run down the board here for the Vegas totals and maybe some games that might spark my interest. And these are going to be just pieces. A lot of them are kind of low totals. Of course, obviously, the Pittsburgh at Atlanta, 42 total. And both teams, it's pretty close spread, 2.5 or 2.5 point favorite in Atlanta. We're not 100%. I guess oh boy, Aaron Rodgers is going to gut it out and play. And, he quote unquote owns the Bears, but I don't know. Maybe this is a revenge game for the Bears because they got to be licking their chops to get at that rib cage, man. Busted thumb, everything else. One of Green Bay's down years. And I don't know about Fields. He's got the busted shoulder as well. But they got both run games are good and both run defenses are shit. So we'll look into that. The totals are a little higher. They're not predicting a hell of a lot for the Bears at 19.5. So that might be as Justin Fields not playing. I would say definitely they got that figured in. Justin Fields not playing if they only got 19.5. So the next one down real quick. We'll go past this one. Baltimore. I don't know. Lamar got there last week. I mean, he had 89 yards rushing. I don't know that it's going to be necessary for him to be running wild on this mail it in Broncos squad. So we might look at that a little bit. But like most of these totals, I'm going to skim down here. They're in the 40s and mid 40s. But here you go. This is going to be the one everybody's targeting right here. Jacksonville at Detroit. And we know the Detroit Dome games have been shootouts on both sides. Jacksonville just had got the big win over, with the 2-point conversion, and T. Law looked real good. Trevor Lawrence, Tennessee moving over to Philadelphia. Philadelphia, just keeps rinsing and repeating on people. They did have the one hiccup against Washington, but they've only had one loss on the season. 45.5 total there, and they are 5.5 point favorites. So, I don't know, King Henry, that doesn't look good for him being on the road and dog like that. But this is another big we don't know if Stafford's going to play or not. They hinted that he might clear protocol, but this game doesn't look real good to me either. Seattle and Geno, I mean, it's efficient passing. It was weird, they couldn't run the ball on Vegas at all with Kenneth Walker. He gets there with the luck box first TD on the turnover. And then, he gets a later touchdown. If he hadn't scored twice, he busted last week. But, 42.5 total, 41.5 live. It's, it is what it is. 3-point spread, or no, 8-point spread. I'm sorry. Looking at the wrong one. So, that's pretty much. And then the other big games, these are the other two. Big 52.5 for Kansas City. And I just look at Kansas City. I don't know how they do it. They got Kelsey, the Mahomes and Kelsey. And I guess Pacheco is he's all right, but he's no juggernaut. Juju is just, a middle of the pack, and MVS, I mean, Sky Moore, I don't know. It baffles me. It does. And this show is unscripted, by the way, so I'm going to be winging it just a hair bit, but I have done my research, so don't fret. Uh, and the Chargers, which my Herbert stacks got me there last week. The only problem I had with last week is I didn't have any Josh Jacobs, and it cost me almost everything. When you got a guy on that fairly popular dude that scores 50 and breaks the slate, and nobody else does. I mean, we had some 30. We didn't have any. He was the only real slate breaker, and he outscored those 30-point guys by 20. So you're just done. But anyway, we're getting over here to the final couple of games here, and we got Indianapolis at Dallas is the night game, so we're not going to go there. But the last game is KC and Bengals and Chargers and Vegas Raiders. So let's look at the what we're working with here. And what I was going to do in my first couple of builds were as why not run Mike White back? I caught on to him at the spur of the moment last week, and he did not disappoint. He rolled it, and why not go right into Detroit and do the same thing? He's got Corey Davis with a week under his belt. Elijah Moore showed a little bit of life, and obviously Garrett Wilson, that dude is a beast. So we're looking good. I like it. And let's go take a look at that game right quick. All right, I'm going to highlight these two games: Jacksonville at Detroit and the Jets, Minnesota, because those are the two pay down quarterbacks I referred to in my stacks. So it's basically, well, I mean, you can go Kirk Cousins too. I mean, I've warmed up to him and Goff, but the two guys I'm looking at is Mike White and Trevor Lawrence, because I just think they're better quarterbacks. Well, not Mike White. Cousins is tight, but at home, but it's a good Jets defense. And Cousins, he just sometimes he gets there, but he's 20 points, But for 5,700, you can't complain. He's basically got to either throw for 2+ touchdowns or over 300 yards, both, to get you there. Because you need over 20 out of him at 5,700. You need 22 to 26 is what you're looking at. Mike White, I think he'll get there, because I don't know if they'll be trailing, but he was very efficient. If he shows any kind of efficiency like he did last week, 27, I mean, that's great. And, I don't know if he runs or not, but, if he has to, he probably will. I mean, all quarterbacks can run a little bit, right? But Mike White, and then you instantly go right back to Garrett Wilson. He's only 5,300. It's $1,000 price bump, but it's still too cheap, in my opinion, for the number one dude. And you got Jacksonville, Detroit. I loved Zay Jones last week, and he only got a slight bump, but he's a monster. And it's not like, the 30-point, he didn't even score a touchdown, but he got targeted like a madman in that game against Baltimore. So I can imagine him seeing some targets against Detroit, probably not to the extent of 14, but he's going to get 8 to 10 at least. And then the other guy is Chris Kirk. And I don't know. I think it's them two, basically. I mean, Marvin Jones, Agnew is a good pay down because they do script plays for him, and he needs that touchdown. He got 5 targets. So, I mean, for 3,300, keep him on your radar for your second man in, because if you can't afford to just click Zay Jones and Christian Kirk in your Lawrence stacks, then you got Agnew. And then we don't know what's going on with Etienne yet. They said foot sprain, so he might play. Doug Peterson said he expects him to play Sunday. So, but, foot sprain, I don't know. You re-injure the foot and he leaves the game again. I was really going to be digging some Hasty. That dude come in after Etienne went out and just got it done for him. I mean, he was catching pass. He's a powerful guy. He's a good running back. He should get more touches anyway, to be honest with you. So they may limit Etienne a little bit. So he still might be worth playing. Also in this Detroit game, I'm going back to Swift because he's still just 5,600. And we talked him up in the Discord for Thanksgiving Day. And he had one touchback called back. I didn't see the play because I was riding to the gym on the radio. All I heard was touchdown. I was getting gas, as a matter of fact, and I jumped out of the car to get gas. And then I got back in the car. And by the time I got to the gym, they pulled the touchdown off the board. And then it worked out that Goff hit ASB for St. Brown for the touchdown. So I don't know exactly. I guess his knee went down trying to fight for the end zone. But that was one touchdown. The other touchdown, he had a pass in his hands and he was crossing the goal line and it just got fumbled away. So he had two good chances on these limited opportunities and he still got 10 points. I'm putting a touchdown on it. The dude's going to get 17 this week. I like playing him. He catches passes. In this game, if it does turn into a shootout or they get behind, I'm going to continue to let Jamal Williams beat me because look, he got that touchdown, but look, 11 points. If he don't score 3 touchdowns, he's 11 to 15 points. He's good yardage. I mean, but I just don't know if he can get that 100-yard bonus. He just doesn't get targeted in the pass game at all unless Swift is out. So just keep that in mind. Michael Carter hurt me last week because he was my second man in because after Twitter got a hold of it, it blew up and his ownership increased, but he was still cheap and low owned. Is that he got targeted a whole bunch when Mike White was the quarterback. And then he gets injured. It was an ankle sprain, not practicing. So I don't know. It's optimistic that he will be played. It's a low ankle sprain, so not the dreaded high ankle sprain. So be confident in that. But your pay down option there, the other guy that just like Hasty, Ty Johnson came in and got it done. 14, 15 DraftKings points at bare minimum. So he's up to 5K, thinking he might get in there. But because there are some pay down options, so keep an eye on it. But those two games are basically my pay down quarterback options. And you all know the obvious plays. Justin Jefferson, keep playing him. Thielen is finally getting more involved in the offense. He's always gotten targets, though, every week, except week 1. He's gotten at least 7 targets. Keep that in mind. He's only $5,000. He's a touchdown away from paying off every week. If he doesn't score, it's 10. It's 12. If it gets that touchdown, it's 17 or 18 for 5K. That's 3.5, that's over 3X, 3.5. So I'm going right back to Zay Jones as well because he is only 4,900. He got a $300 price bump on 14 targets, 11 catches, 145 yards. The dude had 10 targets the previous week. He's had 5 and 3, which were down weeks, but he's had weeks of 10 and 8, 11, 9. He's an integral part of this offense, and him and Trevor Lawrence are on the same page. Now, Christian Kirk, he still got 9 targets, 4 for 46. He was pretty quiet in that game, but we know what he's capable of. 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a red zone guy. So don't be afraid to go back to him. Don't chase Zay Jones just because you think he's going to be the man. Christian Kirk is going to get a lot of targets in this game, and he's probably going to be the highest scoring wide receiver on the Jacksonville squad. So get him in there. Now, you got other guys like Wiz Khalifa Raymond and, Marvin Jones, revenge game, if you feel like it. He just doesn't get very many opportunities. He's there, though, and I imagine he's schooling these guys, these young kids, on how to be professional wide receivers because that dude is a pro. Been around a long time. Corey Davis for New Jersey, and I'm bouncing back and forth between these two games because I feel like if you just targeted these two games, you could make out your lineup and be just fine. Probably even with tight end because like Mike White, if and I think I will. I'll get into some other, but TJ Hawkinson is just still continuing to pay off. He's not busting for you, and he's only up $200 more. So at home against the Jets, and they're not juggernauts against tight ends, So I like TJ Hawkinson. And I think that's why you can play Cousins, is because he's got that additional reliable weapon. So now he's got Thielen. Now he's got Jefferson. Now he's got Hawkinson. He's got that third guy now. So I feel good about that. And if you want to shoot Evan Ingram, he was really popular last week. He was popping in models and people's projections. And I was like, man, this dude's a ghost. You look at his game log, he shows up about once every 5 weeks or something. But this might be that week. He hasn't been targeted. And Detroit gives it up against tight ends. He is athletic, he's fast. So if he's not injured, he's a threat. And he won't, people will shy away from him big time. He's only 3K. I mean, after that bust last week, people don't like to go back to him. But the other guy is who's been pretty reliable and showed it even in the game one. I mean, a perfect 3 for 3, 50 yards. The guy can get down the field a little bit. I mean, he's got a 29, a 27, 26, 21. Conklin can play. And guess what? Revenge game for Tyler Conklin. He used to play for the Minnesota Vikings. So, hey, maybe they'll get him involved. And he's a touchdown away from paying off at $3,100. There's a lot of options here. So just keep that in mind on those two. All right. Keeping with the two at a time theme, we're going to highlight Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Chargers, Vegas. So we'll clear that. And if you want to pay up, well, obviously, if you want to pay up, you're going to go with, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts all day. If I pay up, it's just Jalen Hurts naked or Jalen Hurts with, so we'll highlight that game too, because I don't want to spend too much time on this video. I like to keep it 15 to 20. So Jalen Hurts all day, either naked or if you want to try to play him, Devonta Smith has been getting a little bit more involved. So maybe he's a good option, but you got a ton. These are all your pay up wideouts, and paying down for the quarterback can get you one or two of these guys. Jamar Chase is due to be back this week. Mike Williams, I think, will be back this week. So 5,900 if Mike Williams is back and healthy, 5,900 is an absolute steal for him. So that feels pretty good there. Keenan Allen still being pretty consistent. He got his first touchdown. T. Higgins has been just the linchpin of the offense since Mixon and Chase went down. So he's the guy there. Go back to Burrow if you want, especially if Chase plays. I told my man Big Daddy Gator, and he still played him, and he got there. I mean, I guess he got there. I mean, Burrow for 6,700, but he only had 18 DK points. I don't know. In my opinion, that ain't getting there. He was just one touchdown short, really. I mean, and he almost got the 300 bonus. He is a 300 bonus guy. He's the guy that I'll play if he's got Chase. He's the guy at 6,900. That is my caveat. If then statement. If they have Chase, then I'll play. So that's what we got there. Another guy that I like as a pay down option is Derek Carr. This game at home against the Chargers, I think coming off the slate breaking week from Josh Jacobs, where he had 40 touches in this game, 51.3 points, and he had already had this calf thing. So I don't know what the deal is, but he's not going to practice all week. But I mean, not just a calf strain, but when you have 40 touches in a game and you're just as a contact runner like Jacobs is, that's got to be hard on your body. So it's going to be difficult for him to repeat that performance. Not that he won't go out and get 25 points, but it opens things up for something like a Carr stack with Mac Hollins and Moreau and obviously Devontae. I think this might be a Devontae smash week. Honestly, people will see this 9th ranked, and he's the highest priced. Next to Justin Jefferson. And by the way, just play Justin. I keep telling myself every week, just play Justin Jefferson, even if it's a one-off or in a stack. Just get him in there somehow because he always gets it done. Devontae's the same way. I mean, he had 11 targets. He just didn't get there in the end zone. But worst case scenario, he's probably getting 15 or 20 points. he'll get the 100-yard bonus in this game. That Seattle game was a different kind of animal. So I don't mind Adams. I've actually been a little bit higher on him than normal. Josh Palmer's down here. The other guy that was my sneak attack, and he still might go overlooked, but it will probably caveat with Mike Williams, was DeAndre Carter. My apologies. He was badass last week at 3,700, and I should have won more money. I barely broke even, and it was just because basically, my stacks got there. I had a couple of off weeks, and honestly, it was basically for this reason and this reason. It was a big reason. Was my man that I counted on, and I'm going to go back to him some. Mark Andrews dropped the easiest touchdown he'll ever have in his career in the end zone, which would have got him to 18, which wouldn't be bad, but he should have had one of those 25-point games. They just couldn't get connected, and he only got 7 targets. Jacksonville's defense, I played Jacksonville's defense too. They're pretty formidable, especially at home. And the Ravens have not had the best track record at home. I believe they're now 1-4 in their last 5 trips to Jacksonville. So keep that in your lizard brain for next time around. And a couple of, I guess, one-offs. You can always play Kelsey. Mahomes is always an option. But Mahomes almost needs to be played naked anymore or with Kelsey, because you never know where he's going with it. This was just kind of a down game with the Rams. I think they just kind of went out there, went through the motions. They got that first touchdown by Kelsey, and they were like, okay, we're good. And they still end up winning 26-10, so walking away. So that was almost like a bye week for them, to be honest with you. Keep an eye on Fields' health. I don't know where he's at practicing. He's going to practice limited capacity. But the one thing I will tell you, even if he does play, which I kind of hope he does, but if he doesn't, he's not running. They're not going to be doing design runs for him. He'll only run when he has to. But down here is a nice priced David Montgomery. I almost thought his name was something else, but David Montgomery. You could go. I don't think Jeff Wilson in the revenge game is going to get there. I suppose Mixon's going to clear protocol. So P. Ryan's probably going to be out of the question. Aaron Jones is too expensive for what you're risking, but they may depend a lot on him. It might be a ton of dump offs from a beat up Aaron Rodgers. So keep that in mind. And I'm just going to kind of sift down through here. I already told you DeAndre Swift. I like him as a play. If you think Kenyon Drake bounces back, Gibson's getting a lot of love, but Gibson is questionable with foot injury. So I don't know. This run game is it's kind of a split backfield. I have a hard time getting there. The only thing, you just saw Jacobs rip roar through Seattle. If you want to take a shot, I don't know about Cam Akers, but the other guy, this dude, Kerryon Williams, who I believe was the third down back for Arizona Cardinals. So he's a good pass catcher regardless. So I think they'll get a lot better run game against Seattle than they did against Kansas City. So he's a pretty decent pay down option. There aren't too many guys down here that you're not taking a shot. You could take a shot on Algier, Tyler, in the Atlanta game. But real quick on defense is what I was telling you. Down here, I don't know. Titans wouldn't be too bad. You could probably pay for the Titans defense. They show up. The Rams against Seattle, that's a tough call. Houston is not. I mean, I guess they're not as bad as I thought when I first looked at it. I wouldn't play even Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati might be just a matchup nightmare for Kansas City. So they may have trouble with them. So maybe I don't mind. But if you want good, solid choices here, I don't mind Pittsburgh at Atlanta, and then vice versa, Atlanta. And also the Commandos, they're always a solid defense. They score. They get after the quarterback. I think Chase Young will be there. I don't exactly mind the Jets either. So I think they're not too bad price either, 2,600. because you saw the pressure that Minnesota's been giving up, like in the Dallas game. The Jets get after the quarterback, so keep that in mind as well. And I'll be back with another video. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'll be back with another video probably later on in the week once we get more clarification on injuries, news, and notes. Maybe Saturday or Friday. I'm not sure which one, but I'm glad I did this. I wasn't feeling good the last couple of days, but I'm back and better than ever. So get her done. And next video, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.